Hi guys, happy Wednesday. I hope everybody's having a good week. I know ours has been a little crazy with the snow day on Monday, and that would have been the first day of this third quarter. And then we were released early today because of the weather, so I'm sure a lot of other schools were as well. I know we got out at 1:30 and Canton got out at 12:30, so that kind of stirred things up a little. Um, I'm mostly going to talk about my day yesterday and some of the stuff that I did today before we did leave. So Tuesday was the first day back after the end of last quarter. So Tuesday I spent a lot of my day doing schedule changes. And even though kids have been here for half a year, sometimes I still ask for changes in things like a lunch or can I have this study hall teacher? So sometimes those schedule changes kind of take a little longer because we have to explain to them like, no, we're not going to change your lunch just because you want to have it with this friend, because then everybody wants to change their lunch, and um, we can't have overflowing lunches, and we can't just be changing study hall so you can have it with your friends, and all that good stuff. So that was a lot of it. On Tuesday, we also had a new student, so his mom had requested, like I talked about last week, for him to shadow another student. That student that she wanted him shadowing was absent at the end of last week, so he was finally here on Tuesday. So I sent the new student with him for the day to kind of look at the classes as their schedules were lining up. Um, so he did that, and he had an awesome day, and there were no issues. I was a little worried about that because he's coming from um, he was in a group home type setting, um, and was going to school out of district because his foster mom couldn't, or his adoptive mother couldn't really control him. So I was a little nervous about him coming back. I didn't really know how he was going to act in classes or toward me because she said that he's pretty resistant to any authority. As soon as he came in, he said hi to me and he sat down, and I have a little cactus on my desk, and I don't really know how to take care of it. It says water it once a week, so I water it once a week. And he sat down and he said, "Mrs. Newman, you're overwatering your cactus." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's why it's like that. Like, what? That's why it looks weird." So, he sat there and talked for 10, 15 minutes about my cactus and how he knows all about cactuses and how he'd help me repot it when, it became time. So I was happy that that went well because I think that kind of got him into the flow of his day a little better. Um, and it eased me a little because I was worried about him coming in and how the day was going to go. So that was good to see. Another thing we've been figuring out this week are failures. So when all the teachers compile their failure lists and send them to us, if we have to decide if we're going to try to fit that course back into their schedule for this semester, or if we're going to put it down so that the student can take it again next year. Um, so one question I had for our other counselors was, we offer a course called Art Survey 1, and then second semester they take Art Survey 2. Um, you get a half a credit for each of them, and then that gives the student the full art credit. And Art Survey is kind of just a less intense art course for students who don't really like art or music, but they need the credit. This is kind of what they do. So a lot of our freshmen go into this unless they are recommended for studio and art. Um, so I had a couple students that had failed Art Survey 1, were scheduled for Art Survey 2 second semester. And it used to be that they had to have Survey 1 to go on to Survey 2. So that was kind of my question. And our whole department kind of sat down and talked about it because a couple people weren't really sure. Bob wasn't in when I was looking at it, so I talked to Nicole and Danielle, and um, they thought that it was interchangeable. So if a student failed one, they could take two and then go back to one next year. Um, so that was kind of the question, and we sorted through that and decided that students can take Survey 2 and then go back to one, or they can take photography or ceramics or something else to fill that other art credit. Um, so that was helpful knowledge to have, like how those courses can fill in for one another and how they can go back to them and how you don't have to have Art Survey 1 before 2 and all that stuff. Going off of that, I have a student who has a very full schedule. He's probably has the most full schedule of all the freshmen. Um, he is an advanced student taking chem, geometry, English 1, Global 1, Spanish 2. He's in chorus, band, and he was in art. So that was a pretty full schedule for him, and he's feeling pretty stressed out, which is understandable. He likes it all, but he was just really having a hard time getting it all done. And he's an athlete on top of that, so it was pretty overwhelming. So after a lot of talk with him and his mom works as a teacher in our school. She decided to pull him from art. So then the question was, he was in the advanced art, which is a year-long course. So the question was whether we could give him credit as art survey for the first half of the year, so he wouldn't lose that art that he had just done. Even though he's not going to get the advanced art studio and art credit, we're trying to figure out if we can give him survey credit because he's done the work. He got 100 in that half of the course, and it's just a more advanced version of art survey. So that is something we're still working on. I don't really know the answer to that. We have to talk to the art department and kind of see how they'd like to handle that. The other thing I did yesterday that took up a lot of my time was I went to Freshman Academy, which I've talked about before. All of the freshman teachers have fourth period free. They meet and discuss students that they think they need to discuss. And what we did yesterday was discussed students who are failing one or more courses. So we have a student from SUNY Potsdam working as an intern right now, and she compiled a list of all the freshmen that are failing 1, 2, or 3 courses or more. And we, as a group, went through them and picked out the students and what interventions we can do to help them. So whether that be student conferences as a group with all of their teachers, or we do student conferences where they go one by one to each teacher during that fourth period and talk to their teacher and have a one-on-one to decide what they need to be doing, what's missing, all of that. The other thing we do, if we believe that parents in the home might be helpful, we do parent conferences. So that is kind of my part of this. I write down all the kids that we decide to do parent conferences on. I call them, kind of let them know what's going on, what we're thinking, and that we'd like to meet with them. And if they can make it in during that 10 o'clock time slot where we meet every day, or if they can make it in at 2:15 at the end of the day. And usually they're pretty good about that. Some of them are like, oh, what did my kid do now? But once they understand, they're not in trouble. We're just trying to help them find a place where they can be successful. They're pretty willing to come in and work with us to figure that out. So those are usually pretty successful meetings. So I was in Freshman Academy. We went through that list, and then I spent quite a while after that making calls to parents, setting up these conferences and all of that. At the end of the day, we had a meeting on a student who I honestly don't even know what grade he's supposed to be in. I would say he should be a senior. He's got enough credits to maybe be a junior. So the student has just struggled with school forever. Has never showed up, has gone to summer school, failed out of summer school, never done anything, never put any effort in. Came to school this year and said, I want to graduate. What do I need to do? We've been trying, well, not me, but everybody else has been trying for so long to find something that holds him here. And he made the varsity hockey team. So he's been working his butt off to get his grades up. He's doing awesome. He's got great grades. But some things have had to be changed a little to find success for him. He had taken English 1 3 times, failed it every single time. So they're like, okay, we're going to put English 2 into your schedule, and you're going to take English 1 and 3 to 5 with Mr. Chartrand. 3 to 5 is for students who need extra assistance to catch up on old work. So he's doing that for a couple classes, and a couple teachers have been upset that that has been allowed to happen. they think that he needs English 1 to be successful in English 2, even though he has a 96 in the class right now. So that meeting was kind of just to discuss, like, the student is finally here. He's finally trying. He finally wants to do well. He wants to graduate. He wants to do something with his life. Let's help him do that and not try to hold him back. Um, so that was an interesting meeting to sit in on, and it wasn't completely resolved, but I think they got those English teachers kind of to come around and be like, okay, like, we can help here. We can help this kid graduate. The other thing I wanted to talk about was our IST meeting today. I brought up a student of mine that's a freshman who is a big issue in the freshman class. He is awful behaviorally. He's got over 36 referrals in the first half of the school year from anything from bullying, disruptive in class, profanity, threw a lollipop at a light at a girls' basketball game one night, broke it, just anything you can think of. And we struggle with this kid so much because he's from Haiti. He's African American, and he uses that against people a lot. So teachers are pretty cautious of that. Even though he does have 36 referrals, it doesn't necessarily mean that something's been done with him every time, unfortunately. The other part of it is every time we've tried to call to schedule parent conferences, the parents tend to not want to come in, so they like to pretend they don't know what we're saying and speak in French or whatever it is they speak, and just say, I don't know what you're saying, like, what are you talking about? And then they hang up on us. So we're like, well, what are we ever going to do with that? Our dean and our assistant principal have done home visits on him, just about everything. So we're looking into doing PINS diversion on him, which is person in need of supervision, because at this point we don't really know what else to do. We've done student conferences, we've tried parent conferences. I've talked to him, our psychologist has talked to him, the principal, he's been suspended in school, out of school multiple times. So he's just one we're going to have to keep working on and see where that kind of goes. The last thing, this was just something I learned at IST. They were talking about putting back RISP into place in our school. So that's Regents Intensive Support Program. And that is for students who aren't necessarily succeeding in a regular track, but they're also not 12-1-1. So it's a little in between area for them. They push into regular classes, all of the 4 core classes, but they have a lot of extra support. So after every period, they go to a resource period. And in the past, it has been really helpful. They don't have it right now, but they're looking to put that back in place potentially to kind of help our graduation rate and get things up and help kids be successful. So I thought that was pretty cool. That was something I never heard of before. So learning about that was interesting, and I'm interested to see where that goes as well. So that has been my week for the most part. Nothing too exciting. So yeah, I'm excited to hear from all of you and hope you all have a good week.